Hello friends, Dare to Lead, a book by Berene Brown, dispels common myths about modern day workplace culture and shows you that true leadership requires nothing but vulnerability, values, trust, and resilience. This book emphasizes the importance of vulnerability and empathy in the workplace. It presents research backed strategies for cultivating trust, resilience, and collaboration in teams and encourages readers to embrace their humanity as leaders. So let us start the audiobook summary. Dare to Lead.
Key point 1. The essence of effective leadership. Every human reacts and responds differently to situations. That's why we occasionally act negatively without meaning to do so. These different reactions often affect us at work. For instance, how we choose goals and deadlines and how we go about our workday. Few leaders set realistic deadlines for their team members, often motivated by a need to get something done quickly or personal ambitions. But the main problem is that the team doesn't know about any of that. They simply see the deadline and how difficult it is to achieve, and then see a poor leader who can't be pleased. It's also possible that setting these deadlines might be something a person does out of fear or worry that their leadership skills are lacking. Courage pushes an excellent leader to succeed. Believe in yourself. Fear will not help. A team should have a shared understanding of all required work, achieved through effective communication. For example, the leadership team working with Dr. Brene Brown decided that each person needed to take notes during meetings and work together on estimating deadlines. Doing this allowed them to communicate effectively and see where others needed help. Binary thinking patterns often surface in organizations and are dangerous because they do not maximize employees' full potential. Examples of such binary thinking include operations versus marketing, finance versus creative, spenders versus savers, the heart versus analytics, and the dreamer versus the stick-in-the-muds. Tagging people with stereotypes or just one quality limits their ability to explore and expand. But people are capable of different things, and this summary shows how that knowledge can be helpful to you. The following sections will help clarify the different types of leadership and how you can stand out. Key point 2. Strength and intelligence are intrinsic to leadership. Colonel Halfill, the Director of Innovation, Analysis, and Leadership Development for Air Force Global Strike Command, shared a valuable lesson she learned from Dr. Brene Brown. She emphasized the importance of carefully choosing language depending on the situation. Complicated matters demand a unique approach. After discussing it with her staff, she realized that a problem presenting itself as tiredness was actually loneliness. The emerging problems in today's world go beyond technological advances, enabling artificial intelligence to take over jobs. The challenge now includes the inability to embrace the gifts of the heart, such as vulnerability, empathy, and emotional literacy. As a leader, asking pertinent questions to determine the real challenge takes courage. One style of leadership that is particularly troubling is armored leadership. It drives perfectionism and fosters fear of failure. Perfectionism, in this sense, refers to a self-destructive and addictive belief system. It's an unattainable goal that only makes us feel shame, judgment, and blame. On the other hand, daring leadership models encourage healthy striving, empathy, and self-compassion. As a leader, engage your team in conversations about ways perfectionism differs from healthy aspirations for excellence. Armored leadership believes in scarcity and disregards delight and recognition. Joy and vulnerability are closely connected, but we are used to being wary of the latter. Even when we experience positive emotions, we frequently think about what may come next, not allowing ourselves to feel fully satisfied. Sometimes we caution ourselves when we feel joy, waiting for the next disaster. We think expressing so much cheerfulness can trigger something terrible, so we turn the positive feelings to foreboding, hesitate before celebrating victories, and withhold earned recognition, yet it shouldn't be this way. Gratitude helps you embrace the pleasures of accomplishment, love, and joy. Globoforce, an organization that provides recognition programs and solutions, found that recognition boosts employee engagement and satisfaction. We may have more work ahead of us and experience some failures. Still, this shouldn't take away the joy of the moment. Once we achieve something, we should always take a minute to celebrate it. Key point 3. Exposing the heart to empathy is a sign of strength. Dr. Brene Brown grew up believing that illness is a weakness. She saw sickness, unreliability, and untrustworthiness as unwanted identities, so she had to unlearn and fight against their deceptiveness. After accidentally hitting her head on a glass wall, she learned how illness does not imply laziness. She suffered a concussion and discovered that the more she tried to force healing, the more setbacks she experienced. Giving herself more time to heal and not being ashamed, even though she had so many appointments and engaging activities ahead, was a challenging mindset to achieve. Shame arises when we feel that something we've done makes us unworthy of connection. It displays itself in various forms, such as doing something unnecessary, not contributing to an evolving organization, shouting at our kids, getting sacked, or hiding an addiction. Labeling shame as embarrassment, guilt, or humiliation is dangerous because it diminishes our empathy toward others experiencing these emotions. Having conversations about shame will improve the quality of our lives. Daring leaders are committed to not using guilt to achieve results. When firing an employee, giving them a way out with dignity is essential. Be authentic when you experience shame. Don't sacrifice your values. Be more courageous, compassionate, and connected after the experience. When someone is experiencing a sad situation, it's often better to agree that the problem hurts rather than trying to make things better by saying something to minimize the pain. When Dr. Brene Brown missed her daughter Ellen's final field hockey game in high school, Suzanne, the organization's president and COO, empathized with her in ways she never imagined possible. Despite all the planning to ensure she was there to cheer her daughter on, all efforts went awry. She cried her eyes out and expressed her utmost dissatisfaction. But Suzanne did not try to engage in comparative suffering. She empathized by connecting to the emotions she was seeing and using the right words to convey care. Key point 4. Leaders need to understand and hone empathy. We often judge others in areas where we are most prone to shame. When people evaluate us, we tend to pass it on by criticizing others. Our curiosity and learning spirit create a desire to understand others. Seeing the world from somebody else's perspective enhances empathy and reduces judgment. Wherever perfectionism is driving us, shame is riding shotgun. Brene Brown, Ph.D. Empathy seeks to understand another person's feelings and pay attention to the body language of all parties involved. Creating a template for what to say or do to show empathy in any situation is challenging because it's about connection. Being a complex skill that requires practice, you may get it wrong initially, but be ready to try again until you get it right. Hence, empathy starts with treating yourself well. Sometimes we tell ourselves what we cannot say to others in similar situations. Instead, we should talk to ourselves about how we want others to feel loved. Self-kindness is tantamount to self-empathy. Mastering empathy requires practice. The same goes for all other abilities leaders should learn. Leaders must develop fundamental skills through discipline. In sports, players learn skills they develop through regular practice. Sometimes, a player may wonder why they have to do 50 flip turns in a row instead of going straight to doing the sport itself. Training and acquisition of skills ensure knowledge enters the muscle memory, helping us face enormous challenges. Leadership is not the apex of development. A leader should grow alongside the team. Similarly, leaders must have the grounded confidence to face situations and conversations, make decisions, and keep their values intact while leading. Grounded confidence is a combination of rumble skills, curiosity, and practice. Rumble skills require setting the proper conversation and asking essential questions. Curiosity is the desire to know. A curious person takes time to listen, question, and identify the real problem rather than jumping to conclusions about perceived issues. The more we know, the more we want to know. For Dr. Sine Bell, the principal of Morton Ranch Junior High in Katy, Texas, practicing vulnerability enabled her to share her personal story with her staff, thus helping her team understand her purpose, passion, and commitment. It also allowed them to practice vulnerability. Did you know? According to Raj Vardham, 69% of millennials believe leadership development is lacking in the workplace. Consequently, 91% will stay less than 3 years in a job. Point 5. Identifying your core values and transforming them into behavior. The first steps toward living your values are writing them down, narrowing them to just 2, and naming them. As much as you think you have infinite values, your 2 core choices drive and form the bedrock for the rest. The second step is transforming these named values into behaviors. Define 3 or 4 behaviors that support and 3 or 4 behaviors through tempting that oppose your values. For Dr. Brene Brown, courage and faith are the core values that propel her to speak up on issues such as race, immigration, and social justice. She does not allow any dehumanizing language around her. Her faith helps her find God in people rather than hating them. She hates only their ideas. Courage and faith help you show up for people in pain and discomfort. The third step is empathizing and having self-compassion. Empathy helps us push against secrecy, silence, and judgment. Self-compassion allows us to cheer ourselves on before expecting others to. It's crucial for maintaining mental and emotional well-being. Self-compassion can lead to reduced stress, improved resilience, and greater self-esteem. It can also help us cope better with challenging situations and bounce back from setbacks more easily. We need to remain aligned with our values at all times when giving and receiving feedback. We should be willing to sit next to the person rather than across from them, with the problem placed in front rather than between. We should be ready to listen, ask questions, and accept that we may need more clarification sometimes. And we should be prepared to praise rather than speak badly of others. Understanding other people's values helps us relate to their actions. It enables us to see the true meanings of their words and actions based on their values rather than any concocted opinions we may have standing in the way. It's also essential to set clear expectations and always follow up values with behaviors that directly express them. Daring leaders believe that people are doing their best and assume positive intent to encourage growth and change. Key point 6. True self-trust reflects in your ability to trust others. Sometimes you claim you trust yourself, but find it difficult to feel the same about your colleagues. Believing that you are trustworthy and being perceived by others as reliable are 2 different things entirely. Of course, talking about trust is always challenging. Instead of discussing trustworthiness in general, it's more efficient to point out specific behaviors that hinder progress. Some attributes that help define and build trust include boundaries, reliability, accountability, vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. An acronym to remind you of this is BRAVING. Most attributes are self-explanatory, but vault certainly requires further clarification. This attribute refers to the subtleties of confidentiality. While going all out and becoming vulnerable on work teams, there's a need for rules of engagement to guide people from overstepping their boundaries, like never divulging secrets to outsiders or sharing information that is not yours to share. We need to trust to be vulnerable, and we need to be vulnerable in order to build trust. Brene Brown, Ph.D. The foundation of trust starts with the individual. That means you should trust your abilities and intentions and apply the braving inventory at all times. It's a necessary step on the journey to trusting others while also having faith in yourself. Trust is achieved in fleeting fragments of time and lost with similar volatility. Being brave involves embracing failure as a learning opportunity. Nowadays, we raise our kids to become perfectionists and rely on what other people think. But these kids grow into adults lacking grounded confidence and independence skills. Learning to rise has 3 parts: the reckoning, the rumble, and the revolution. Reckoning involves recognizing that we're feeling something and getting curious about it. One key strategy for reckoning with emotion is box breathing. Box breathing refers to performing all breathing stages for a count of 4, breathing in, holding the air, exhaling, and remaining still. Rumble involves drafting the stories that explain the situation. Sometimes we assume things are a conspiracy. However, we need to check the stories with reality. Revolution is taking off the armor and rumbling with vulnerability, leaning into our values, braving trust with open hearts, and learning to rise to reclaim authorship of our stories and lives. This revolution requires authenticity and courage. Conclusion. As a leader, be willing to expose your heart to feelings that shape you to embrace courage without fear. When the heart is open and free, it helps you understand the connection between your physical sensations and emotions and how to gain control over them. As a result, you make better decisions and think critically. The ego protects the heart from learning its truth, which never leads to positive roads. However, the heart needs to be exposed to embrace wholeheartedness. Hold on to your uniqueness, abilities, and strangeness, and contribute to the world to realize your true potential. The failure or success of any team lies in the Libra dangling from the leader's hand. The braving key will help any leader go the long haul, irrespective of the team's dynamism. Don't leave team interactions to chance. Build boundaries instead. Teach every member reliability, making each team participant dependable. As a leader, answering your team will help them learn accountability. Also, the ability to vault and exemplify integrity subconsciously affects the work group. Any leader would want to rush off in excitement to try out the actionable guides laid out by Dr. Brene Brown. Such is her reputation and proven success. But when you lead bravely, courageously, and with a hint of daring, your team will reciprocate by meeting its highest possible potential, leading to outstanding productivity. Try this. List 2 core values that form the base for your value system. Write down the corresponding behaviors that go with your 2 core values. The next time you need to make a decision or lead a team, utilize core values like courage, generosity, accountability, and integrity as a guide.